Welcome to Role Players, a podcast from stage to stream.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Role Players podcast, where two thespians talk sports. I'm Hoskins, and I'm here with my good amigo, Jonathan Long. What's up, my dude?
What's up? How you guys doing? How you doing? How's the world doing? Well, let's not talk about that part.
No,
let's just talk about sports.
It's like, well, okay, yeah, we should just talk about sports. But you know, I'm not in as negative spirits as I have been in the past. But
I'm not, but the world is continuing to influence sports, and so that's always part of the life we live.
Yeah, well, let's just
talk about it.
Let's just go ahead and start right there at this big issue, okay? Because we're about to talk a little NBA because the season is about to start like in a second, okay? This offseason is going to move so quickly.
What, December 22nd?
December 22nd, right? That's 6 weeks away. Not even 5 weeks. Oh, my gosh. And we don't even know the rosters yet. But have you been watching any news recently, Long? Like normal news, not sports news?
I'd have to say yes.
Right.
Especially starting around November 3rd.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been kind of checked into this. I don't know if you've heard about it out in South Carolina where you are, but I've been really paying attention to this coronavirus thing, this COVID-19 thing.
I don't know what that is.
Jeez. Okay, so my real question, man, is should the NBA actually play? We know that the NFL and baseball don't care. Okay, they just plowed through and when people got sick, they got sick. But things are worse than they've ever been right now. Should we just move forward with this season? There seems to be no real questioning of how this is going to work.
It is hard to say. I mean, you look at the way the NFL's handling it and, like, has it been great? No. Has it been functional? 80% of the time, it's been functional. There are some big key things that affected the season because of this, and so it's really interesting to see, what happens if one of these major stars has to quarantine in the NBA season, because that's, there's a lot more to lose by losing a big star in basketball for 6 days. That's more than one game.
Right, and not to mention we really don't know the long-term effects. And
right.
We'll find out with guys like Westbrook, who showed some signs of slowing down. We'll get to Westbrook trade talk in a second and all the real sports things. But last thing about this COVID stuff, I have heard reports that certain arenas are looking into selling courtside seats. So, I figured they would try to sell a couple seats when they could. And why not? If it's a really small number, jack up the prices. The NBA really needs money if you're going to have people
courtside?
Courtside. And COVID aside, one of the things I loved about the bubble was them not having to worry about fans beside the court. I feel like you run harder, more free when you don't feel like you're going to run into somebody, and it's really dangerous. We saw with all the camera guys that are under the basket. How many times has a player slid into that, and it's just dangerous for everybody. So that was one of the things I enjoyed. Anyway, COVID regardless, and now you got guys, you're going to have fans in the corner.
Right. And depending on especially where you're playing in the country, if that's a hot spot at that moment, it's hard. Like, it's hard to say if someone could. Remember
the Utah Jazz Russell Westbrook feud with that fan said some racially inappropriate things, right?
Oh yeah.
Imagine if there's a guy like that in Utah or in certain, like you said, certain places, and they sneeze instead of saying anything. It's just
or they just start to taunt them. They just start coughing in their direction.
Oh, take their mask off, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get to the really interesting sports stuff because a lot of stuff is happening today. We're recording this Monday. It's coming out the next day. So NBA stuff is going to trade quickly, but I'm looking at the top lines, and we're going to get to NFL in a second. And it just came out a couple hours ago. Drew Brees has collapsed. What is it? A fractured lung?
Fractured ribs and a collapsed lung.
Okay, I wanted to say collapsed lung because but then I hesitated because it sounds so fucking shitty. But it seems like he's going to be back within 3 weeks because football.
I'm sure that it's extremely painful for him, without a doubt.
More painful than if he loses his job to Jameis Winston? Because I know that you have a very high opinion of Jameis.
I think Jameis Winston is talented, but needs a quarterback coach that can help him monitor his decision making. I think he has. I'm a huge Florida State fan. I think Jameis Winston is filled with talent, like in terms of his arm strength and whatnot. I think he can get the ball in places it needs to go. But does he always put it in the right place? No. Does he always know I should just get rid of the ball right now? No. When he carries the ball, does he tuck it away like he should? No.
Here's the thing. It makes the Saints infinitely more interesting to watch. Okay? Because Drew Brees does not have arm strength. Okay? It's really not where it used to be at all. And all these injuries are adding up. And we don't know if when he comes back he's going to be physically at what he was close to at all or capable of being a real quarterback. So it's going to be more interesting. Jameis takes chances. I know as a Panther fan, as someone in the NFC South, I looked forward to playing Jameis Winston a couple times a year. He may get the best of us once and really.
You never really knew what you were going to get.
Well, you did. Because you knew it was going to be great or shit. And it wasn't going to be anything in between.
It was a coin toss at that point. You had as much luck picking out which Jameis was going to show up as winning the coin toss.
Exactly. Except, in a coin toss, if you've done 30 heads in a row, if you got 30 heads in a row, the 31st one, you're just as likely to get heads, right? But Jameis, if he threw one touchdown, he was going to throw a pick the next time. Right? If he played great against your team the first. If you're a division opponent, you play him twice. If he won the game and they went for 35 points, they won it the first time you met, guaranteed.
They were maybe getting 7.
Yeah, 3 picks at least. He threw 5 picks against the Panthers in London. Anyway, so that's our Jameis Winston thing. Let's get to some NBA trade talks, and then we'll go through the NFL schedule for this next week, talk about some observations we've made since the past 2 weeks. And even though your Steelers are still undefeated, you're still on top of the world.
We squeaked by one, but yeah.
Okay, so you know what city feels really great, or what state right now? Shout out to this state. Arizona. Right now. We had the Hail Murray last night, and breaking today, it is all but official that Chris Paul, CP3, is headed to the Phoenix Suns to be another great point guard in a legacy of fantastic Phoenix Suns point guards like Steve Nash.
Can we just say that Arizona deserves this simply because the hell they went through on the 3 days after the election? They deserve something, man.
See, I thought my tone was implied that there was another thing I was adding into that Arizona. Wait, I forgot. Does Arizona want to count the votes or not? Do we want to count the...
No, they're counting the votes, but Trump's people wanted them to count the votes because Biden was winning Arizona. And when they finished counting the votes, Biden was still winning Arizona.
And then we... Okay, all right, we can figure that out. All that logic is confusing because it's not actually logic. I promise we're not going to get any more political, not because we care, but just because I like talking about sports more. What do you think this does for the Suns, though? They get CP3. They give away a few pieces, including Kelly Oubre.
I think
who they did not have in the bubble, by the way. They did not have Kelly Oubre.
Right. Street. I like it because I think CP3 is a great leader, and I think if he and Booker can play well together, then it's going to be an interesting combination. I think Booker can learn a couple more skills from playing alongside CP3. I think CP3 can make him an even better player. And I think it's going to be good for his development. But it'll be interesting because, I mean, like you said, they did give up Kelly Oubre, but obviously that
and
didn't
Ricky
play.
Rubio, too. That was another of... He actually played a big role for them.
Right. Rubio's a good passer, not necessarily the best scorer.
Yeah, Chris Paul is just going to upgrade that Rubio position.
Right, exactly. Because Chris Paul can pass. Chris Paul can score.
A better shooter than Rubio by a lot.
And so
and we think a nice leader.
Yeah,
like you said.
I would say so. I mean, I've never heard anyone besides James Harden not like playing beside him. So,
Lob City. I don't think Blake Griffin had the best time.
That's right. I forget about Blake. I forget that ever happened because that team was such a disappointment. They were always supposed to do well and just could never quite do it.
And Chris Paul, his biggest rival may be Rajon Rondo. And if Rajon Rondo ends up going to the Clippers, which has been rumored, we'll see. And he wins a title with the Clippers, and Paul doesn't, man, it's going to be tough. But because, as high as the ceiling is for the Suns, the next 2 years that they have Chris Paul, title contender? No, right?
That'd be a real, if this was college basketball, I'd refer to that as like kind of a Cinderella story. They got the talent, but could
not
they?
In the West now, right? It's like,
could they? Yeah, they could make the playoffs and maybe be competitive in a couple games, but to say they're gonna win, I don't know.
It would take. Booker is probably close to his ceiling. He's really, really good, but it would take Aiden to develop a whole another level up. And so here's what I don't like from the Suns. Okay, I love it in the sense of, it's going to make you competitive now. And honestly, the main thing the Suns should try to do right now is keep Devin Booker happy so he continues to want to play for you. Okay, that's the best thing that you have going. So good move on that sense. Kelly Oubre wasn't doing much for you. Big contract. You got rid of that. That's great. But the Thunder won this trade because the thing we haven't mentioned yet, they also get the Suns' 2022 first-round pick. And two young players, Ty Jerome and Jalen Lecque. I don't even know this Jalen guy. Sorry, got no info. Ty Jerome, I remember, was that guard from Virginia when they won, scoring 12 points a game. You guys remember that Virginia team?
The most boring team to watch ever.
Yeah, so fucking boring. God, I hated them. But yeah, they also get this 2022 first-round pick. And look, they traded Westbrook to get Chris Paul and ended up with 2 first-round picks, I believe, from the Rockets along with that. Now Westbrook is basically no value, it appears, and you have moved Chris Paul to get Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio, and a first-round pick. Okay, Kelly Oubre, I promise you in a couple years will be traded from the Thunder at least because they're going to get another pick for him. They just know how to sell high on players, and they still don't they don't disrespect players. It's not not that the Patriots do this, but it's not that kind of heartless cutting of players or anything. They just know when to get value for players.
I think the last time that they sold too early on a player, and it wasn't that they sold too early, they just couldn't figure out a contract that made sense to re-sign, was James Harden.
Yep.
In the end, that's not been the biggest regret. James Harden can't get it done, so you would have been exactly where you were.
Yeah. Great segue to the Brooklyn Nets.
I hate this one.
Potentially in the works to get James Harden.
I think that's stupid.
Will this become the most hated team ever if this trade happens?
It already is if that happens.
You know what sucks, man?
God.
KD. Look, he says he doesn't care about what other people think. That's obviously bullshit, okay? I don't care if he has burner accounts. I don't care about any of that stuff. And when people call him too sensitive, I hate that. I think he's great the way he is. But look, if you weren't fulfilled winning the championship in Golden State, right? It obviously wasn't enough, and he said that. It didn't feel like he thought it would feel because he needed to take more leadership. He needed to be a more integral part. He joined the Warriors. I don't hate him for that decision, but ultimately it wasn't the same. And so now you're creating the same thing. If you get Harden and Kyrie, you're gonna feel the same way even if y'all win.
But with players that are much more, in my opinion, controversial in terms of how much people like watching them play or like their personalities.
Kyrie, I could watch play forever.
but I don't like his personality.
Yeah, he's not been known as the best teammate. Some of that I kind of think is BS, but some of it, he's an out there dude. I've heard him talk
also,
a lot. He's out there. It's not for everybody.
And see, James Harden, I don't like watch play, and I don't like his personality.
I don't see how this could possibly. Well, I mean, they could win. I mean, there's so much talent, of course, but I don't see how they're all three going to be happy. Like, there's going to be a huge breakup, right?
Yeah.
The only thing,
Yeah.
the Nets won't do this because it would make somebody mad. I feel like if you do this, you got to get rid of Kyrie. I feel like you have to do something else. These guys are all great. They're three of the best isolation scorers ever, but those skills don't stack up. You know, LeBron and AD's skills, they stack up. They build it on each other. They truly made each other better. Harden, Kyrie, and Durant will kind of make each other better, maybe, but like it's just gonna be by, oh, your turn now. I can take a break. Your turn. I'll stand in the corner.
My thing is like getting James Harden, in my opinion, begins to hurt you more defensively.
Yeah,
Than anything else.
to have Harden and Kyrie on the floor at the same time, like what? And then they think DeAndre Jordan is going to be this elite rim stopper and just stop everything else. I mean, they're going to have the firepower, clearly. But, like,
it's just
teams like the Raptors and the Celtics that play tough and have length, like, even if they have way less talent, they're going to really pester them.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Raptors beat the Warriors with less talent. Now, yeah, there was some freak accidents, but...
And then it's like, if Durant comes back and he's not 100, is it going to be like Harden's team? If they won a chip, is it going to be like Harden won the chip? Like, who's going to get who's going to get the lion's share of credit? We know it won't be Kyrie. He'll be the artsy one. He's going to end up getting fucked by this the hardest, I think.
Oh, yeah, he's going to hate it. He's going to want out in a season or two just like he did in Boston.
He's going to be like, why does everybody think I hate this? I love this. This is great. And then it's going to be trade rumors. But before we leave this trade, did the Nets actually do it? This is a great rumor, but, like, this is stupid. You can't do this for Dinwiddie and LeVert and a picks. Picks from a team that's going to be good.
Which is sad because I really like LeVert.
I like LeVert, but, like, come on. He's a sixth man probably.
Yeah.
And he's had injury history. Like, I love LeVert. Like, great piece. Would love him on contenders. Would love him in Charlotte. Would love him on a team like that too. But, like, you have James Harden. Just cool it. Just cool it.
I don't like it. I don't like the trade. I don't like Harden playing beside Kyrie or Durant.
If the Nets have created, if they get all three of them, they have created a reality in which if they lose at any point in the playoffs, they will have disappointed everyone. They will be failures, and they will be...
Well, and one of those three is going to get blamed significantly.
Yeah, they don't all three stay together if they don't win the title the first year.
Right.
Unless there's an injury or something.
Because if there's an injury or if they win the title, then that's the only way you keep all three of them and keep the people around them happy and keep the fans happy.
If I'm the Nets, and I think I've said this before, if I'm talking to Houston, I'm offering LeVert or Dinwiddie. I'm offering these guys to try to get Covington, to try to get PJ Tucker. Guys that are coming in to defend that, you know, don't really match up well with Anthony Davis or Giannis, but can spend minutes on them.
Well, and the Lakers kind of proved you don't need a true big three this year, too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you build the right pieces around the right two stars, you can really take a chance there and do it.
Sorry, I don't want to go in circles on this but I do think this is the only opportunity we're going to have to talk about this because I think this isn't really going to happen. And then the rumor's going to be dead. Because I hope, maybe that's just me speaking positively, but defensively is where the big problem is going to be.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to this other half of Houston with Russell Westbrook. So if they trade Harden, are they building around Westbrook, or are they just trying to trade everybody?
I have no idea, man. I don't know what the Rockets are doing. I have no idea.
In all likelihood, they'll just run it back. But there have been some rumors about where Westbrook is going to go. Do you have a destination that you want him to go as just a fan?
I think the Knicks makes the most sense.
Really?
Just because I think he's a very Knicks player. I don't think he would do great there, but I think he is a very New York Knicks kind of guy.
He would represent their fans well.
Right.
Because you say he's a New York Knicks kind of guy, and that just makes me think a loser. And I know he hasn't had success in the playoffs, but he's not a loser. Yeah,
well,
he
my
represents
thing is,
what
like,
New York basketball fans are all about.
Right.
He's tough.
He's gritty. He's tough. He
Showtime.
He makes New York worth watching, even if they're not great. Just because you never even when the Thunder weren't phenomenal, he's out there putting up a triple-double. And so I think that it makes the Knicks a little more interesting to watch. I wouldn't bet on them, but
I think it would be the dumbest move for the Knicks.
Oh, yeah,
just
without a
because they finally started to rebuild. And I love RJ Barrett. I've watched him a lot at Duke, watched him a lot his first freshman year. He's young, okay? He like graduated high school a year early, so he's a young guy, and he really does not have the pieces around him to develop, and that's their biggest asset right now. So and if you have to trade any future picks or young talent for Westbrook, it's not worth it. If you're trading like Julius Randle and some other cash to get Westbrook, it may be worth it. Because, if you're not the best team, I think Westbrook is of value if you're trying to make an 8 seed. And as a team, it could show the rest of the league, hey, we treat superstars well. This is a good culture. I think the Thunder showed a lot with how they treated Chris Paul this year.
Yes.
Right? And even though they traded him away, they traded him somewhere he wanted to go. And I think, although it's a crazy small market, I think players aren't so upset if they found out they're going to Oklahoma City or if that was a free agent contender because they treat their superstars well.
Right.
Same thing with the Lakers when they were horrible with Kobe. It's like that's why LeBron wanted to go there. They treated a star amazing.
No matter
they didn't
how
just trade
bad they
Kobe
were.
when he got shitty. Right, no matter how bad. R.I.P. So let's go to wait. I forgot the other Westbrook rumor.
The Michael Jordan interest.
Yeah. Okay, I'm a Hornets fan. What do you think I'm going to say about? I don't think I've talked to you about this. Do you think I want Westbrook or not?
I don't think so.
You are wrong, sir. Westbrook to the Hornets works on these conditions. Do not trade the number 3 overall pick. Don't do that. Come on, man. Don't be stupid.
But that is the Michael Jordan thing to do.
It should work out. Some things that I've heard. If Houston is willing to accept this, I don't know how you don't pull the trigger. Terry Rozier and Cody Zeller.
God, those are both bad contracts.
And Malik Monk. There you go. Malik Monk, young player, kind of been a bust in Charlotte. He could shoot. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's not. Cool. Throw in Malik Monk. Terry Rozier can actually play alongside Harden if they still have him. Cody Zeller, there's your center. But really, this trade works because Westbrook's a bad contract. And Houston would try to get out of that and not spend that money anymore. So if the Hornets can do it for that, I say, why the fuck not? Get into the playoffs, have a star, build your young core.
Don't give that pick away.
Right, do not give that pick away. Because Harden with James Wiseman, that might work out. Throwing lobs, Westbrook with James Wiseman. He had a lot of assists that year. Something worth watching in a Hornets uniform. Some energy. Because you said it represents New York well. Well, here's what I give from Russell Westbrook in general. He's not the best. He's really not the best at all. But he's about to try his ass off and go in. So I always like watching him
could be
play.
Charlotte mentality.
It could be. It could be. It's the Steve Smith mentality. Not Steve Smith, a basketball player. Not Stephen A. Smith. Steve Smith Sr., the best wideout in all of NFL history.
Okay.
What? That's not even controversial.
Not the best wideout in NFL history, but one of the greatest.
Who are you thinking? Thielen?
Jerry Rice?
Steve Largent?
You're so ridiculous.
Wes Welker?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Brandon Stokely?
Riley Cooper.
How dare you, sir?
Ooh.
Lamar Jackson. Okay, let's move to the NFL on that.
Yeah,
Let's make these
seamlessly.
segues super awesome. And go to Lamar Jackson. We'll skip the Lakers trade. Oops. Nope, we had to go back. The Lakers traded Danny Green and their first-round pick, in principle, this isn't official, for Dennis Schroder of the Oklahoma City Thunder, who we talked about a lot. What do you think about that for the Lakers, Long?
I like it. They're weak at point. They needed a true point guard. They found a way around it this season, but I think that it's a good trade. I mean, Schroder got better, especially alongside Chris Paul.
Yeah, I was going to ask what you saw from Schroder. I know we both watched a lot of Thunder, especially the playoffs, and we were texting in those games like, damn, like Schroder and Chris Paul were playing great in clutch situations too. And I thought what Schroder showed, like as an ability to be more of a role player, like he's never been a star at all, but his time in Atlanta, he always ran the offense. And so he was able to kind of run and be a spot-up shooter and a slasher.
Right.
With Chris Paul, it's going to work great with LeBron.
And, I mean, they're going to need somebody else. It seems like they're going to lose
Rondo
and
Bradley.
What? No, the other guy who played
KCP?
Contave, yeah.
No, he's gonna stay, I think.
I've heard he might opt out and leave.
See, I don't know. I may be listening to too many Lakers home bias kind of things because I'm like actually listening to the Lakers Locked On podcast.
Right.
It's got more of an inside scoop, and I believe they said that Schroeder's going to come, and it looks like Rondo's still going to return.
See,
I just think it all depends on, are they going to get their big? They're trying to get Ibaka. Are they going to get him? And then where does the rest of the money go? But I think they need at least one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean,
although I've heard they're trying to get Wesley Matthews.
Okay.
Which, if you're talking about filling in for Danny Green, I think that's fine. That's a pretty solid replacement.
One thing I did notice is LeBron James gave a lot of old players a decent market for themselves in LA. I mean, Rondo's value went up.
Mm-hmm.
Kentavious Caldwell Pope's value went up. I mean, suffice to say that there's at least a value for Dwight Howard right now.
Definitely. I mean, you think about all these guys that are clutch too, with KCP at least. I mean, Clutch got him more money when he first signed with LA, and it was kind of under the table kind of thing. We treat you well now, maybe Clutch treats us well later and delivers us LeBron fucking James. But now, a lot of people thought, KCP's going to take a team-friendly deal at the end of this because they were so nice and looked out for him the first time. Fuck no team-friendly deal. Fuck is that? Fuck that. He's trying to get paid.
Fuck you. Pay me.
Do you think it's going to matter at all in free agency that, okay, we're making less money this year. The cap is the same, but it's not. Okay, it's a huge decline. I think it's 30-40%. Okay, so taxes probably matter more. Do you want to be working in California, or do you want to sign in Texas or Florida?
Bitch, I want to sign in Utah.
Okay.
I want to sign in fucking Charlotte. I want to sign in a small market. I don't want to go to New York.
Well, Florida,
right?
No state income tax, so maybe you want to get traded to the Magic.
This is the year to go to the Heat.
This is definitely the year to go to the Heat. You're right about that. That is true. There's been rumors that the Lakers could look for Goran Dragic. I don't think that's gonna happen with Schroeder now. But like, if you're Dragic, Miami could offer you 2/3 the money, and it would be the same. So, okay, let's move on from the NBA for real now. Okay, let's talk about Lamar Jackson. Weird place to start, but that was a good Sunday night game last night.
Yeah.
With some interesting timed weather. End of that game ended in a monsoon where like even the audio was affected. if you had the sound on during the game, you noticed that. So, Long, we've talked about what we think Lamar Jackson is right now, and that he's kind of hit a ceiling. He's not necessarily the quarterback to come from behind. He had a chance last night on Sunday Night Football against the Patriots on the road. They came up short. Does this say anything more about Lamar Jackson that we didn't know?
I just think it kind of reiterates the narrative that we've talked about. I mean, I think that
if he pulls that game out, if it's not a monsoon and it stays like kind of drizzly, and they win that game, then does it change anything? That last drive that they had, they go down the field and score.
It proves that he can do it. It doesn't prove that he's necessarily MVP quality again, but it does prove that he can get it done if he has to. But
right.
Not being able to do it against the Patriots, it's not a good look. It's not like, oh, he can't play quarterback. Lamar Jackson is better than a decent amount of quarterbacks in the NFL because of his skill set.
Yeah.
Do I think he's going to have the longevity of some of these other quarterbacks? No, not by any means. I don't think that he is going to be around as long as, say, even a Cam Newton was in Carolina.
Yeah. You know, I hope we're wrong because he's so great to watch.
No, I am a Steelers fan and I hate the Ravens, but I like watching Lamar Jackson play when he's having a good game.
Oh yeah, last year you talked to me more about Lamar Jackson than the Steelers.
Well, yeah, because we suck.
Like that's true. Yeah, that's true. But that's that dude. I mean, I love Lamar Jackson, and I think in a different offense he could have different.
Like
ceilings,
I loved watching him in the
was
Pro Bowl. He's got a lot of personality on the sidelines. He's a very interesting guy. But
I love the look on his face in games. He's such a competitive dude. So here's what I saw last night. And I was thinking this right before they were getting the ball. Well, they were down 2 possessions, and they started to come back. And as they started to come back, the rain just got heavier and heavier and heavier, right? And that affected both teams because New England also really couldn't run the clock out too. So before he got the ball back, I asked myself that question of, is this going to be a turning moment? And I thought, no. We want to say it's the Patriots, it's on the road. So if he does it, no, this is different. Even though the Patriots defense, their secondary has been pretty good this year. This is a game y'all were supposed to win. If y'all came back and won, it would not be a big deal.
Right.
It could be a building block, but the chance to turn that narrative was against the Steelers and was against the Chiefs. And it's not going to get turned again until it happens in the playoffs against a team better than you. And I mean, like, actually, like, better than you. Not even just a seed. Like, let's say the Ravens go to Buffalo. They come from behind, Lamar Jackson wins. Oh, my gosh, Lamar Jackson can throw. They lose the next week to Kansas City. Boom. Same narrative. He's going to have to beat Kansas City. He's going to have to beat Pittsburgh.
Because, I mean, we saw what happened in the playoffs last year. I mean, they were supposed to win that game.
And it was ugly.
It was ugly.
Think about this, too. I mean, it takes a lot to change a narrative. Jimmy Garoppolo. People tried to change that narrative. They would try to say he could be a quarterback. And you and me were texting Long the whole NFC playoffs last year. Like, this dude is he's so bad. How are they winning? He's so bad. He should have thrown 4 picks this game. They won by 20. What the fuck?
Because they did nothing but run the ball.
Nothing. And then we got to the Super Bowl.
He was exposed.
He kind of, if he hit that one long pass, if they connect on that, they score, they win, it's totally different.
Hey, you know who does hit that one long pass and wins in the playoffs against teams they shouldn't beat?
Joe Flacco?
Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow.
If Tim Tebow can do it, there's no reason Jimmy Garoppolo shouldn't be out there able to do it.
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo needs to pray more. Jeez, he's out here dating porn stars. Tim Tebow's on mission trips. Okay. So on from Tim Tebow. By the way, let's just clear up a few things. When I said earlier about Lamar Jackson being a receiver, I was making fun of a GM that was an analyst for ESPN, Bill Polian, who said he was a receiver. Okay. Another thing, Lamar Jackson is better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Better than Teddy Bridgewater.
By a lot. better than Teddy Bridgewater and way better than Tim Tebow. This is where we stand. Let's move on. Okay, let's talk about your Steelers real quick because they're still undefeated. And really no question about it, the way they beat the Bengals. A lot of people were like, even when Ben Roethlisberger passed his COVID safety stuff and he was cleared to play, people still liked the Bengals to give you guys a tough game. It was not that.
It was not.
So what have you seen from your team?
We even started off slow like we had been the last two games. Our last two games before the Bengals, we started slow and we were behind. And we started slow this game. But our defense showed we're legitimate. Our run defense is looking a little lackluster in comparison to what they were earlier in the season. But overall, we showed that, we can put together complete games, which is something that I'm not used to saying. And when the ground game's not working, the pass game picks up. When the pass game's not working, we still have a ground game that can take off if necessary. And we get a little creative with how we're doing it. I mean, we're running Chase Claypool. We're running James Conner. We're running Jalen Samuels. We're trying all kinds of new stuff.
Yeah, that's a trend I really like in general in the NFL. And as much as the Panthers are losing this year, I've enjoyed watching their offense the whole time.
Yeah, you guys ran
really
Curtis Samuel a couple times, right?
Yeah, a lot. And we've incorporated that a lot this year, which is awesome. He was a running back in college for Ohio State. And I've always wanted them to run the ball more. I did a little bit with the Rivera regime. But anyway, it's not about the Panthers. I don't want to talk about them. I'm talking about you guys. This is exactly what I said about the Steelers 2 weeks ago. Is they can win any kind of game. They can win it, right? And their defense, it's not like they can win any kind of game in the sense of they're good at everything but not dominant at anything, because the defense is basically dominant. I'm not worried about y'all's run defense. I'm not worried about it really at all.
Well, I mean, you got to really, and like anyone that's like, they're
without Devin Bush,
right?
That's probably
they're like their run defense is slacking. Well, they're still trying to fill that hole, and they're still trying to figure out who's going to take up that role, and like it's going to take a couple weeks to figure that out. But I do think that our run defense is still good enough. I mean, the Bengals put up 10 points. They put up one touchdown and a field goal. I mean, we did our job. And
think about the teams that can really run the ball, and you would be worried about. The Ravens, who you guys can handle. Mm-hmm. I guess the Titans, whose defense is trash. The Colts have a good O-line, but their running backs aren't that great. I'm not worried about
the only team that
offense.
worries me is the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's the
because
Chiefs.
They can run and pass.
And, right. And ultimately, anybody who plays the Chiefs this year, as long as Mahomes is playing, you're gonna have to give them the best thing you got. Get a couple stops, couple turnovers,
and be productive on offense.
Yeah, you got to score and just make the final couple plays that clinch the game. That's what it's going to come down to. And I think you guys could do that with your quarterback. Here's the thing that I'm concerned about. Okay, I would pick you guys against everyone except the Chiefs, but anybody could beat you. The Bills could beat you guys. The Dolphins could beat you guys. I guess you could say that about everyone.
But also,
this year,
the moment Ben Roethlisberger goes down, I think our season's over.
That was my next point, man. And I didn't want to bring it up to you because it's kind of sad. You guys should have signed a fucking
I completely agree, and I've been saying that for years. But Ben Roethlisberger goes down in some of these games, and his elbow's hurting him, and then they did it against Dallas a week ago. Ben Roethlisberger went down, his elbow was hurting him. They put Mason Rudolph in. And the offense...
How is he still
The offense stagnated immediately. It did not move. We couldn't do anything. Which is sad. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger's old, and he's still better than anything else we have in terms of quarterback.
Well, I think you guys used to be kind of known for having a good backup quarterback.
I mean, we used to have...
When you talk about when Roethlisberger was that, when Tommy Maddox was
We even
there,
had Dennis Dixon, who was better than what we have. We had Charlie Batch.
Who's the other guy, man? Charlie Batch.
He was so consistent.
He was great. The first Taysom Hill.
Right. I mean, I like Charlie Batch. I didn't say the first Taysom Hill. He's not that athletic. But I like Charlie Batch because Charlie Batch was consistent. He knew what he had to do. He got the job done sometimes. Now, was he going to win big games? Maybe not, but he was going to.
It seems like now the Steelers look at that. Their front office looks at that as a way to cut corners, because I think a lot of people are under the impression, well, if our starter goes out, we're done anyway. So what's really the point? But even if Ben just goes out a couple games, it's vital you guys get the 1 seed. You're in great position for it. It's vital. Yeah. And if what happened to Drew Brees happens to Ben, and there's just 3 weeks, you know, I love Tomlin and your defense, and your schedule isn't that crazy. If Roethlisberger was down 3 weeks, you'd at least get 1 win, maybe 2, with Rudolph, honestly. But you're not going to win a playoff game.
I don't see it happening now. And I mean,
and the run game just isn't enough to support
it's sad because
that kind of quarterback.
This is the best season we've had in recent history, and it all hinges on a quarterback that, while tough, has been injury prone the last few years.
Very much so. He had, before he got tested or put into the COVID protocol for being near someone with COVID, he was seen with huge ice pack on his shoulder and his knee, I think, which is normal. He's old as shit.
Yeah, I mean, he tweaked his. That's why he went out. And actually, he went out in the Cowboys game because he tweaked his knee.
You could have gotten so many more qualified backup quarterbacks this offseason. You could have gotten Cam fucking Newton for $1 million. You could have gotten Andy Dalton. That would have been weird. But at least he knows your division.
I don't know that would have worked out because he looked like a deer in headlights in Dallas.
But coaching.
But it's Dallas.
Coaching. Like,
it's Dallas. You're right.
What does Mason Rudolph look like in Dallas? Jesus.
Oh, God.
Right. So you could have, like the Washington team traded a very late pick to get Kyle Allen, who I think would have been decent as a backup for you guys.
Winston.
And of course, there it is, Jameis Winston. So is it Ben's ego that gets in the way of signing these guys that could potentially one day take his job? Do you think that's it? I don't know.
I have no idea. I do remember when we drafted Mason Rudolph, Ben was not the happiest about it. But at some point, the front office has to put Ben's ego aside and say, look, you're good when you're playing, but the moment you go down, our season's over. Is this what you want? Also, there's another quarterback out there that I think isn't on a team right now that...
Don't say Tebow again.
If Ben goes down, I would be okay with us signing. And it's Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, you thought he was going to say one near, and he did another near. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That would have been awesome if you guys had Kaepernick. I would, well, if anyone had fucking Colin Kaepernick, that would be...
I mean, Colin Kaepernick took the 49ers to the Super Bowl, so...
Once again, man, we got to stop. He's better than Jimmy G. To clarify, he's better. He took John Harbaugh to a damn... Is it John or Jim? It's John, right? He took John Harbaugh to a damn Super Bowl. And that guy can't even win college games. So I got these other games in front of me for this coming week. Man, the whole NFL is a shit show.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of pretty good teams. And then there's the Chiefs. And I just have no idea what's going to happen. We have this one bye week coming in. So here's week 11's games. Thursday night. Let's start here. This is going to be a good one. Cardinals, Seahawks. In Seattle, Seahawks are reeling. They've lost a few straight here, and they are reeling. Now they're 6-3, but they're third in the division because they just lost to the Rams. This division is gotten very heated up.
There are 3 teams that are 6-3.
Right. Last time we talked, man, it was like the Seahawks had a few game leads, and we just kind of assumed because they're the Seahawks. Yeah, their defense was bad, but they got Russell Wilson, man. They're the Seahawks. Of course, their defense is going to get better. It's Pete Carroll. They've just gotten worse.
They have gotten no better.
And the Cardinals, I keep wanting to crush people's dreams on the Cardinals. I love Kyler Murray, but I think people have been high on the Cardinals all year. I heard Bill Simmons, love Bill Simmons, one of the best the podfather of sports podcasts, Bill Simmons. He said he loves the Cardinals this year. He loves Kyler Murray. And he said that when the Cardinals played the Dolphins the week before, that this was a long shot potential Super Bowl. He got the long shot part right. But I can't argue with that. Even though they it was a Hail Mary that they beat the Bills on. I don't know who's good enough to win in the NFC. They're the top of what seems to be the most competitive division. They could beat the Packers. They could beat anyone in their division. Obviously, anyone in the NFC East.
I like the Cardinals. I do not love the Cardinals.
It would be fun. But is it really going to happen? Are they going to come back down a little bit?
I would like it for DeAndre Hopkins.
That was the most amazing thing ever. He probably makes the best catch of the year each year. Is he ever going to get shine as the best receiver in the league? Because a couple weeks ago, we were saying DK Metcalf. I just skipped right over this guy. And is he from South Carolina? I know he went to Clemson. I think he's from South Carolina.
I think he is, yeah.
Man, and we got a close last name. I'm sorry, DeAndre Hopkins. What did that catch make you think of? Anything in particular?
A bunch of Aaron Rodgers games.
It made me think of the Lions' complete despair against Aaron Rodgers. It made me think of playground football.
It definitely felt like that. But
remember the game Jackpot?
Oh, God, yeah.
Somebody would just chunk it as high as they could, and whoever caught it won the jackpot.
Gets to throw the next one,
and
they win the jackpot.
You win the jackpot, and if it was incomplete, the jackpot went higher and higher. That looked like jackpot. One guy, 4 people around him, high point. You got mossed.
I will say, Kyler Murray got the ball there. He did what he had to do.
Yeah, his scramble there was amazing. And he did one flick of the wrist. Yeah, that shit was incredible. That was an amazing throw. Obviously, the catch is more amazing because it was more unlikely.
Well, yeah, he tossed it in coverage.
Right, but it took that amazing of a throw.
And the fact that he even got it off, he was under pressure.
And it was high. It was high, but it was a rope, right? So it wasn't like everyone had a chance to really get under it.
I'm telling you, I like the Cardinals. I want them to be good. I don't know that they're complete enough to win everything.
Yeah. If the Cardinals end up playing a team like the Saints or the Bucs in the playoffs, please, Cardinals win. I'll be pulling so fucking hard for you. Right? It would even be cool to see you guys get to the Super Bowl. But as a Panther fan, any team that hasn't won a Super Bowl, I cheer against you. So Cardinals.
You don't want to be the last one. You don't want to be the last one.
As a Steeler fan, Long, how would you feel if you were facing the Cardinals in the Super Bowl?
I like it.
Again.
I like it.
You like that more than facing the Seahawks?
It's about the same. The Seahawks defense is garbage, so I think that'd be more interesting.
What quarterback do you fear more? Wow, right? What quarterback do you trust more?
I trust Russell Wilson more. Do I fear Russell Wilson? Not really.
With 2 minutes left, and they have the ball and they're down 6. Who do you fear more? You can't tell me you're not I'm pretty. If Russell Wilson has the ball that much time left, I'm like, I don't know, man. Scoring.
The only reason I would say I don't know is because of what we just saw. Because DK Metcalf is good, but he's not DeAndre Hopkins.
You're right. And I guess those other receiving cores, you have Kirk as a speedy option, and then trustworthy Larry Fitzgerald, who's not got burners, but he's going to make a smart play in the last 2 minutes.
That's the thing is, if it's a 2-minute drill and they have 1 or 2 timeouts, Larry Fitzgerald's going to preserve those timeouts. That man is smart.
I get where you're coming out with Kyler, but we're talking about playoffs.
We're talking about playoffs?
We're talking about playoffs or outside, bad weather. I'm still going Russell Wilson because I know that I actually think Kyler Murray because of what we saw last week. But, this is football. We cannot get wrapped up in last week.
Right.
What do you think the line is on this Thursday night Cardinals at Seattle game? Based on
I'm assuming
what we've
Seattle's
seen
the favorite.
They are. And I think a lot of money is going to get bet for the Cardinals on this because I think.
Is it less than 4?
It is. It is Seattle -3 at home. So home field is being counted differently. Usually home field gives you 3 points. So this would be a pick 'em, but Seattle's at home. They are 4-0 at home. They do not have fans. Let's move on from this game. I'm picking Seattle to rebound just because.
To me, it's a toss-up. I can't really pick anyone, but I do hope it's as good of a game as the Cardinals' last game.
Right. And remember, they did beat the Seahawks earlier, and that was like a really good game, but I think that's not going to sit well with the Seahawks. Also, Thursday games are always weird, and I go to the coaches who have more experience with that specific team. So, going to pick Seattle. Not feeling confident about it, though. Okay. Let's go through these games quick. Eagles at Browns.
Who cares?
Oh, right.
The Browns. The Browns should win.
Very important for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Really quick, so if you're interested in picking divisions, all right, we saw the Eagles lose to the Giants last night. Okay,
that division is eating itself alive.
It's horrible. But here's the thing about the Eagles' schedule coming up: they only have 2 more games against division opponents. Their next 5 games are as follows. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
At Cleveland, that's what we're talking about now. Seattle at home on Monday night. At Green Bay. The Saints at home, and this would be in 3 weeks when Drew Brees is expected back. At Arizona. And then you end with the Cowboys and the Washington football team. So it is very possible.
That's a tough string of games.
Right. They got a lot of their division games first. And the Eagles in the division, they lost the first game of the year against Washington. They beat the Giants and lost to the Giants, so they split with them. They beat the Cowboys once. Right? So they are 2-2 in the division. They just lost to the Giants. The Giants are half a game back because the Eagles have a tie. Right. Or 1.5 games back. I don't know how that works. The Eagles are 3-5-1. The Giants are 3-7-0.
The Eagles have already had a bye week.
Yes, that's right. And the Giants have not. And the Giants, the end of their schedule, the end of their season, they go to Cincinnati, which I don't favor them there, but possible they win. Yeah. At Seattle, not good. The Cardinals at home, not good. The Browns, their schedule's harder. The Browns at the Ravens, and then one game against the Cowboys. Both of those schedules are pretty tough. Man, this is going to be like a 5-win division.
Hey.
Oh, my God.
But one thing we've learned is Daniel Jones got the Jets, dog.
Yo, he may play for the Giants, but he's got the Jets. Yeah, he did not fall this time. We're all happy for you, Daniel Jones.
When did Daniel Jones get so fast?
Yeah, he's got the fastest run speed recorded this season. It's not even a joke. His run that he fell on was a faster speed than any Lamar Jackson or any Kyler Murray run all season.
He got too fast for his own good.
You know, this is a coded racial term, but it is true for Daniel Jones. He is sneaky athletic. Hustle player. Okay, we've spent way too much time talking about the NFC East. You know, every time we say we're not going to do it, but it's just so bad.
It's easy
like
to make fun of.
God. I mean, really? A team has to win this division?
Anyway, back to the game. I think the Browns are going to win.
Yeah, they're favored by 3.5. They barely beat Houston. I think this coach doesn't suck for the Browns. That's amazing. It's a stay away from me.
Yeah, no, I'm not making a bet on this.
Oh yeah, because
they're still the Browns.
Well, based on the Eagles' schedule, this could be the only game they have a chance to win for a while. They need this game. They kind of do, and you know, battle of the disappointing quarterbacks, man. Wentz, apparently, Eagles fans really do not like him. So maybe he goes across state and goes to your Pittsburgh Steelers when Ben is out. Okay, the next game I'm looking at, I'm going to go to your Pittsburgh Steelers playing another rising star. We're playing the Jaguars. So you guys are playing this awesome new quarterback. You know his name? Did you learn it after last week?
Is it Jake Luton?
It is. Is Jake Luton free? Or is it Jake Vladimir Luton?
I don't like either of those.
Well, you're not going to like him when he goes to town on this amazing Steelers defense.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I hope.
Well, depending on our definition of going to town, right? Could mean a lot of different things. Yeah, this should not be a close game. It may be a close game if the Steelers come out and pussyfoot around like they did against the Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
The Jaguars, they have some fight. They're pretty bad, but they're not complete shit. They could hang in the NFC East. So it's you guys favored by 10 on the road. I think the most important thing is don't get anyone hurt.
Get in, get a win, get out.
Let's move on from that game because Jesus. Falcons at Saints. Jameis starting for the Saints. Luckily, this is in New Orleans. I think that matters a good bit.
I think this could be the game that the Bucs need to take over the division because without Drew Brees, it's hard to bet on the Saints.
Right now, there's no lineup for this game. I mean, look, we saw what Bridgewater did last year. Everyone knows he went undefeated. But what they did is they took a lot of responsibility out of the quarterback's hands.
Yeah.
They did simple things, easy things, and the quarterback really became a game manager. It's different than what Teddy Bridgewater's doing this year in Carolina. He's airing the ball out more. He's asked to do more. So I'm really interested to see what it's going to be like with Jameis because I think the Saints are going to try to make him as conservative as possible and try to keep everything simple and safe because that's what they did with Teddy Bridgewater, and they do not want Jameis to throw picks.
Well, and you say that's what they did with Teddy Bridgewater, but also that's kind of what they're doing with Drew Brees. I mean,
yeah, it is. You're right.
His routes are short. I mean, they're not changing the playbook a lot. They're keeping it simple because it works for Drew Brees.
And just they're so lethal in the short passing game with Kamara. I mean, he's an MVP candidate this year. Fucking Alvin Kamara. I mean, it's crazy how it's so frustrating when you're cheering against them, but he does not get tackled by the first guy. He is right up there with McCaffrey, I think. And the way Kamara is in the screen game, I don't know if that's just the Saints are really fucking good at screens, but like, man, he is amazing. He always seems to know where to go and just how to stay behind his blockers. I hate the Saints. I hate saying all this stuff. God, it's so annoying. But I think it will kind of be a mistake if they just try to make Jameis a game manager. Obviously, I think you want to try to get him to be a little more conservative because he threw 30 picks last year. But you have an opportunity to do something Drew Brees can't do and throw the deep ball. So I would say go ahead and have a couple bombs in there at the beginning of the game and stretch the defense out and work from that point of view.
I want a 30 for 30. I want a 30 for 30 on Jameis Winston throwing 30 touchdowns plus and 30 picks plus.
I think that Jameis Winston should start his own production company and like release 30 for 30 and like definitely try to steal the name. But also eating a W would be.
Who want to eat a W? Oh wow.
Okay. That's going to be interesting. We'll see about that game. And you're right about the Buccaneers needing the Saints, and this time that Drew Brees is out, very important for the Buccaneers that the Saints drop a couple.
They
games.
need them to drop 1 or 2 games.
They have to have a better record than the Saints. If they tie, they're done because they lost twice to them. The Saints really don't have that tough of a schedule other than playing the Chiefs later, though. So let's move on to a horrible game. Let's make this as quick as possible. Bengals at the Washington football team. Who do you think is favored in this game?
I would assume the Bengals.
Right, that's what I would have thought. I mean, Washington is at home, and they're only favored by minus 1.5. So,
yeah, stay away from betting on that game.
I like the Bengals.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna bet, that's what I would do. But I don't like it.
I will definitely not watch that game.
No, I'll stay away from that game.
Although if Washington wins, man, they're in the driver's seat for the division.
Neither team is exceptionally good at anything. The Bengals are close. They've had some really close games that they could have won. I think the Bengals are a better team.
I think the Washington team is really good at riverboating. Riverboat Ronnie. Still a fan of that guy. So let's get to the Panthers then. A game that I'm only watching because, maybe one of the only wins we get this year. Panthers at home.
Who's playing quarterback?
Versus the Lions. And yes. Okay. So it looks like.
Because I saw Bridgewater's day to day.
Yeah, he's day to day. It's not a super serious injury. I don't know why we would want to force that with him and his injury history this season. Don't think we're getting into the playoffs. Even if we won out, it would be really, really difficult. But we're 1-4 at home. We need a win, I just for morale and everything. This team plays well. They just have a really hard schedule, and they don't have the talent on defense. The Lions 4-5, still in the playoff hunt. But our quarterback this week, sorry, I avoided it. P.J. Walker. P.J. Walker played in the XFL very recently.
Was balling out in the XFL.
Dude, he's electric. He's fast as shit. He's got a cannon for an arm. But he came in one play and lost 20 yards. So, I don't know.
Right. He's a risk, man.
We'll see. It would be awesome if he balled the fuck out and is our quarterback of the future. Another reason to watch. He's going to be interesting regardless.
You mean like Kyle Allen started?
Yeah.
Kyle Allen comes in, wins a bunch of games, then loses.
Kyle Allen. I would not have been against us giving this year a shot with Kyle Allen in this offense because it was a no-risk thing. I don't think he's that good. He's kind of proven that. But he's better than people realize he is. But he wasn't better when people realized when he won those first 4. Then people thought he was the second coming of fucking Joe Montana. It was like, okay. All right.
He's on down.
Okay, let's get to a rematch of sorts. We talked about Lamar Jackson earlier. They're at home against the Tennessee Titans, who defeated them in the playoffs last year, and like we said, was a horrible game. So coming off that loss for the Ravens, okay, and the Titans also coming off a loss.
Can their defense stop Derrick Henry?
Yes. Their run defense is pretty good. Their pass defense is fantastic. Tennessee is good throwing the ball, but they have to do a play action. Okay, when they come out and throw the ball on first down, they're really good. But then they get away from that later in games because they like to wear people down with Derrick Henry. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. I put money on them to beat the Colts Thursday, so I'm a little mad at the Tennessee Titans because they fucked that game up with their special teams.
Here's my thing, is the Ravens are really similarly built to the Steelers. And I hear a lot of commentators talk about this, at least defensively. Maybe not offensively.
Yeah.
But defensively, they built the same way. Which is crazy because 5 years ago, Pittsburgh's defense was a liability, and this year, sometimes you'd rather have them on the field than anything else. But it's going to be hard because Derrick Henry is a different type of player, but I do think the Ravens are going to get it done. They're coming off a loss that is slowly easing them out of winning the AFC North.
There's no line on this. Did I miss an injury? Did Lamar Jackson get banged up or anything? Or?
I don't think so.
Interesting there's no line on this yet. Also could be a indicator of COVID news to drop soon. If there's not a line on it, then something is up. It could be weather maybe, but something's up with that. Man, that's weird. The Titans really need to win now because that AFC wildcard spot is really going to be tough because it looks like the Ravens are also going to be one of those wildcard teams, and they're tied right now.
The Ravens are also tied with the Browns.
Man, so if the Ravens lose this game, they're looking at a potential not making the playoffs.
They went from competing for the AFC North to competing to stay alive.
Right. I think they're going to win this game.
I would say so.
I think Tennessee's defense just is not good. And I think the Ravens are going to be out trying to prove some shit wrong. I do think the weather matters a lot, though, in Baltimore this time of year with Lamar Jackson. That's probably the best game of the week, in my opinion. So the one worth watching is at 1 o'clock Eastern, of course. Okay, so the Patriots at the Texans. Two teams last year were in the playoffs, notoriously in the playoffs. Normally this would be a great matchup. Last year, this was the game where we figured out the Patriots weren't the same anymore, and they got mollywopped by the Texans. But this year does not look like a very interesting game, other than we get to interesting to watch quarterbacks on horrible teams, and Cam Newton and Deshaun Watson. Anything worth watching in this game? Are the Patriots? I mean, they're alive for the playoffs. They did beat the Ravens last week.
Can Damian Harris have another 100-yard game?
Did the Texans ruin everything when they traded DeAndre Hopkins, or should they have just fired Bill O'Brien years ago?
Yes to both.
I gave you the answer. I was about to say, I gave you the answer and also the answer. Yeah.
My only thing is, no matter how good Will Fuller is, he's not DeAndre Hopkins. And like Will Fuller's a
what?
Will Fuller is a good.
They both have long hair. No,
I think what happened was Bill
same.
O'Brien wanted to trade Will Fuller and got him confused. Seems that's something he would do.
That would be a smarter reason than his actual reason, seemingly. I don't want to get into that. There's a lot of, look up the conversation Bill O'Brien and DeAndre Hopkins have reportedly had, and some of the coded things that O'Brien was saying there. Okay, next game. This is apparently the new AFC East team. This is the team with the Belichick disciple that has done the most. And we just came out talking about horrible Belichick disciples and Bill O'Brien, and of course Romeo Crennel now coaching the Texans. But the Dolphins, led by Brian Flores.
Yep.
His first name always feels off to me. Is it because it's Brian with a Y?
It feels like it should be like Brad.
It does not. He does not.
It just seems like your Brad Flores rolls better.
No, all right, really quick tangent. Is Brad to me seems like a pretty specifically white name.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. And I got this question. I want your opinion real quick. This has nothing to do with the podcast right now. Someone asked me this. DJ asked me. Kendra. He said, is that a black name?
The only girl named Kendra I know is a white girl.
Right. I was like, I don't know anybody named Kendra, but like a white, like white girl. I'm pretty sure white or it could be anybody, obviously. Anyway, what about Tua? That's just my segue to get back to this game. The Dolphins. Tua looking good.
He's looked competent. He hasn't looked phenomenal. He's looked competent. He's done his job.
He has shown some flashes of special.
Right.
For sure.
He's somewhere in between a playmaker and a game manager. He's not like he manages the game well, and when I think that's probably a Nick Saban thing. I mean, you come out of Alabama, you got to be able to manage a game. You got to.
Yeah, because I mean, when he first came in that national championship, it was like, oh, he's the gunslinger, and obviously no Alabama quarterback has really done that. But the Dolphins only really need that, and I think what makes him exciting is how quickly Tua is getting better. Like people are saying they see his development in the game of picking up new things in the game.
Because a lot of people were like, Tua right now, Ryan Fitzpatrick has been doing fine.
Right.
And
even his first game, I mean, I came on here and was like, don't let that fool you. Like, he didn't really do anything. They scored 2 non-offensive touchdowns, which is so.
Yeah, we didn't really get to see much of him.
Right, and then he came out and beat Kyler Murray, who we're talking about, as an MVP candidate. So
right.
And they went back and forth in that game. Like, yeah, really exciting, and it's cool because I like the Dolphins uniforms. I like when they're good, but they're also, if they're good for a long time, I'm gonna hate their uniforms. You know what I mean?
It's a very specific reason to like or not like a team.
Yeah. What do you want? What do you want from me? This is the instincts I've been going on for years. I picked other teams that had blue colors. Sorry. That's how I started. That's why I like Duke. That's the real reason. Okay. The Dolphins are playing at Denver. They're favored by only 3, I guess, because Denver keeps games close and people like Drew Lock. I don't know. That line seems a little off to me.
You mean, hold on. You mean the Drew Lock that put up 257 yards, a touchdown, and 4 interceptions this week?
He's putting up numbers.
Yeah, 4 of them.
Wow, 4. Jeez, man. I don't know why this game is so close at the line. That's like really fishy to me that at Denver is -3. Is it because Denver's so far? The flight, the elevation?
I don't know. I like the Dolphins in this game.
I want to bet this now, but there's something fishy. I'm going to have to investigate this, okay? Because this seems like too good to be true. -3? Like, yeah, okay. Anyway, that game doesn't seem very interesting, though, to watch, right?
Right.
It's like, unless you just want to watch Tua, see how he's doing. Another game that you would only watch for the young quarterback, Jets at Chargers. The Chargers, are, even though they're 2-7, are favored by 8.5 points. Any chance Joe Flacco pulls this one out?
No? Does anyone care?
Yeah, who gives a shit? If the Jets win this game, it's bad for them. They're trying to get the first overall pick. Get rid of Darnold.
Yeah, the Jets really should start their punter at quarterback at this point. And just kind of hope they keep losing.
Yeah, they really should just keep losing. That's probably why they still have Adam Gates coaching. I think that Darnold is going to get moved. Do you want him as a Steelers' future quarterback?
I wouldn't hate it as maybe an option for us to try to get something. I'm not hedging my bets, but also I don't know if Darnold's good or not. I can't tell because he plays for the Jets.
Yeah, I kind of liked what I've seen from him a couple of times when I've watched the Jets in like primetime games.
That's the thing.
It's just they suck, so it's hard to tell.
The Jets are where players go to die.
Let's go to, I guess, a good game. Packers at Colts. I thought Indianapolis got incredibly lucky against Tennessee. They executed enough, but they had Tennessee had like a 30-yard punt. After they'd gotten a goal line stand and then punted and had like a 30-yard punt, and then the Colts scored. And then right after that, it was a blocked punt, and the Colts got a touchdown on that and blew the game open after they had been losing for the majority of it. So really weird game there. The Packers are underdogs in this game. Did not expect that. Indianapolis is favored by 2.5 at home. I think the Packers are kind of clearly the better team. Indianapolis's defense is.
Yeah, that surprises me. I would. I might bet on that now if I heard somebody that's a betting person.
Yeah, man, that seems like good value, right?
Because I mean, Aaron Rodgers has come out and proved that he could still play.
Yeah, he's having a great year when they can run the ball. They just had that one bad game against Tampa, right?
Right.
Oh, well, they lost to Minnesota. That was not a great show.
Well, yeah, because Dalvin Cook was a monster.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's it. Is it that the Colts have really leaned on their running game more, spreading it out between their running backs and
they don't have a Dalvin Cook.
They don't. They were able to run the ball well. They have I forget. I just know they have Jonathan Taylor as a rookie running back who's lost his job to this other guy. I forget this guy's name.
Naheem Hines?
Hines, yeah, that's right. Hines. And he looked pretty good. Their offensive line is good, so they can run the ball. I guess that's what they see happening in this game is the Colts just running the ball and having an advantage in time of possession. But even if it's a close, that's just going to end up being a close game, and then you're going to have Aaron Rodgers versus Phillip Rivers at the end. Like, are you kidding me? You think Indianapolis is favored? Phillip Rivers is favored? What?
In what arguably, based on the math we're doing in our heads right now, is going to be a close game?
Right. In a close game, they're favored.
Phillip Rivers in a close game.
And it's like, oh, well, they're at home. You mean Aaron Rodgers is in a dome? The Colts could win this game, but I will never get suckered into betting that. Okay, Here's a game that matters for the Vikings. We're recording this right before the Monday night game, which is why we won't really have an update for you on Dalvin and the Chipmunks.
Dalvin! All I can say is I'm winning, and the only player I have left is Dalvin. And the only player that he has left is Adam Thielen and Jimmy Grant.
Oh.
I'm up over 20 points, so. I just want Dalvin to put up numbers, man.
Cook it up, sauce it. Dalvin is...
That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Dalvin's the man. But next week, Dalvin and the Vikings play at home versus the electric, the dominant, the most impressive team that we have ever seen, the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, wait, what? The Cowboys suck? Oh.
Cowboys are terrible. But next year.
It's fantastic, man. Love to see them lose. 2-7. They're at the Vikings. Think the Vikings are going to dominate them, but the Cowboys just need one victory for them to become the division favorites again. Okay, that's a 4:25 game along with the Colts Packers and the Jets Chargers and Dolphins Broncos. That's the afternoon slate. So really, you're just going to be flipping between the Packers and Colts. And you'll watch the Vikings because of Dalvin. The Sunday night game is Chiefs at Raiders. First time in Las Vegas.
The Chiefs are not happy with the Raiders right now. Because the last time the Raiders beat them, they did a victory lap, and the Chiefs are not happy.
And that's no good. Because even when the Chiefs are happy, they're pretty fucking good. They're favored in this one by 6.5. I think the Raiders are a good, solid team. I think Gruden has really done an admirable job with them. It's pretty impressive being out 10 years and coming back. And they're a well-coached team. They're competitive. They still have major holes. I doubt that they're going to be able to pull this off again. It takes a really, really good game to beat the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs were kind of sleeping when they played the Raiders last time. This is being a night game in Vegas. They know about the victory lap thing. They're not going to be sleeping on this one. So, and the Raiders I don't see them forcing a lot of turnovers or anything like that to make the game weird. Pretty solid. Feel pretty solid about the Chiefs taking care of business in that one, especially knowing that they have to, keep ground with the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that the Chiefs should probably take that one.
Probably. Although I like the Raiders to still make the playoffs here. Monday night, this is a good one. The Rams coming off a really big win versus Seattle. 6-3 Rams. A lot of teams 6-3, right? And then the Buccaneers, who are 7-3, at home on Monday night.
Both teams really need it.
Yeah, this is going to be these teams seem balanced, which typically means consistency, right? And I mean, their record shows some consistency, but both of these teams have laid eggs this season.
Yes.
And the Rams have kind of been known to lay a few eggs. If the matchup is bad for them, they just really struggle. The front of the Rams with Aaron Donald, along with whoever Jalen Ramsey decides to take out, AB or Mike Evans, that's going to make things harder for the Rams. But
for the Rams or for the Bucs?
For the Bucs, sorry, yeah, and for Brady, him having someone like that. But man, dude, Gronkowski and Antonio Brown look like their old selves right now.
Cameron Brate has been playing good.
Jeez, yeah.
The last thing they need is another weapon, and they have Cameron Brate who's been good. I mean, it is. They got a lot of weapons.
Right. You can just start listing weapons, and then you realize you haven't even included Godwin yet, and he's one of the best young receivers in the league, I think. But I think the Rams are going to be able to keep it close. I think the real test of this game is going to be on the other side of the ball. What's that Jared Goff offense going to look like? Are they going to be able to have some success with the motions and stuff that they typically do? They're going to be able to run the ball. It's going to be an interesting game. I want to talk about, since we're talking about the Bucs here, who do you like of the NFC right now with this injury hanging over the Saints? Everyone's about the same record. Seattle is third in their division now, so hard to take them.
I mean, I like the Eagles. I'm kidding.
What's your gut? I mean, obviously we don't know, but what's your gut if you had to pick one team?
I'm between 3.
Right, and I know that's actually narrowing it down a good bit. It's so hard right now.
I'm between the Packers, the Bucs, and the Seahawks. I think the picture will get a little clearer for me after this week. If the Cardinals win again, I think that really takes the Seahawks down.
Yeah.
I think that if the Packers can continue to win, there's no reason they shouldn't be the favorite in the NFC, even with Drew Brees and the Saints, because the Packers offense looks really good.
Yeah, it's just really interesting because it's really going to be about matchups. Like we see like Tampa Bay seemingly matches up horribly against New Orleans, but great against Green Bay. But if Green Bay was
right.
playing New Orleans, did they play this year? No, they didn't. Yeah, they did. Oh no, they didn't. Did they? I would pick Green Bay.
I don't know.
I'm gonna find out really quickly. Yeah, but it's just a free for all, which is why I am picking whoever gets the 1 seed. Whoever gets that 1 seed is gonna have such a big advantage to get one bye week and to be at home.
Yeah, the Packers beat the Saints week 2 or week 3.
Okay, so there it is all together, right? We saw any of these teams can beat any of these teams. So whoever gets that 1 seed. So we'll see how Jameis does with the Saints. But I don't trust any of them. I trust Russell Wilson the most, but his team is just so bad. Okay, and we know the AFC is the Chiefs and the Steelers, and then everybody else for that. Okay, man. I guess we should move on and wrap this up. It's going to be a really interesting couple weeks in the NBA. So we're going to be back with you guys probably pretty soon, but wanted to announce to everyone that we are going to make our schedule official. We're going to be coming to you on Mondays, every other Monday for sure. Maybe some extra Mondays we'll add in there once we get things going a little more on our part.
You say we'll be coming to we'll be releasing on Tuesdays.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, man. We record on Mondays, we release on Tuesdays. So if you're coming to us for Monday Night Football content, you're not going to get it. Everything else, we got you covered. Before I go, I want to shout out again. We got into this last episode, man, but obviously voter turnout was incredible for this election. So kudos again to all the professional athletes who have impacted people and used their platform to promote voting and democracy.
Kudos to anyone that voted.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, kudos. Yeah, thank
for
you.
doing your civic duty.
But most importantly, Brooklyn, please don't do this. Don't get James Harden. Come on, man.
Pittsburgh, sign a quarterback, please. Ben could go down walking down the stairs, man.
Subscribe to this podcast and other podcasts now from Stage to Stream.
Who want to eat a W? Oh, wow.